Welcome back to the show, everybody. Check out these headlines we have for you this morning. Binance rumor or trumor. We got Fox Business. Charles Payne sits down with Natalie Brunell about the state of the nation in crypto. CFTC's Caroline Pham says stay tuned. Some stable coins are payment coins. And then we have Brian Brooks on where banks are in 50 years. And I talked with Jack McDonald, the CEO of Polysign, at Link 2 Fireside Chat. Oh my. Polysign has got similarities to DTCC, which settles quadrillions of dollars a year. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. You can follow us on TikTok, YouTube, and Twitter for exclusive content. Right now, $1.17 trillion market cap for crypto. We're up 2.6%. Bitcoin, $24,600 plus. Ethereum, almost $1,700. Tether market cap, $70.2 billion, they're saying. XRP is 39 cents. We're going to take a look from technical analysts today that say there's a trend reversal in the works. Well, take a look at this trend, and I can tell you it is trending, ladies and gentlemen. XRP Las Vegas 2023, hashtag that, because I'm going to tell you what, tickets are moving really quickly. I would not wait. May 5th, May 6th is going to be a busy weekend in Las Vegas. Make sure you get your flight. Make sure you get your discounted room because we have set that up for you, but there's only so many of them. I would not mess around. I would get my ticket. I would get my discounted room, which we've helped set up for you, and get this event locked in. I'm telling you, tickets are moving quickly, and there is a limited amount. No doubt about it. Be warned. This is going to be an epic conference, and I am going to be adding even more people and companies to this list that are going to be attending. Just you wait. Look at this right here. There was a post and a tweet that went out yesterday from Watcher Guru that suggested Binance is considering ending relationships with U.S. businesses, citing regulatory pressure. That came from Bloomberg reports. Then some people walked it back and said that it wasn't true. Then whalechart.org shared this and says Binance CEO CZ denies report that the exchange will delist U.S.-based crypto. There is no reason for people on Twitter to continue this conspiracy, he says. However, this here from Jay Shannon, fourth, comes underneath and shares a Reuters article that says Binance pulls back on potential U.S. investments, according to the CEO, CZ. So I think that there is something in the works here, and I believe it all revolves around, as I'm sure you do as well, I believe it all revolves around the idea and understanding that the SEC, Gary Gensler, is coming for the exchanges. He has made it abundantly clear, and it is getting ready to be I think we got a crypto spring coming, but it's going to take what Gary Gensler is doing. And by the way, no one in Congress is interested in stopping him, or they would have done it already. Okay, so let's all understand that. You know, when I see, and I'll go ahead and call it, when I see Warren Davidson or Patrick McHenry or Tom Emmer, great respect for these guys. But when I see their largest contribution to stopping Gary Gensler as a tweet on Twitter, I'm sorry, but that does not a solution make. Here's Natalie Brunell. Look, the libertarian in me loves what she says here, but how practical is it actually? Let's take a listen. Think about what's going on in the industry right now, and then listen to what she's suggesting for prosperity. Take a listen here.
Thoughts on society at large. And I think for a lot of people who were in Bitcoin early, that's what drove them to Bitcoin in part. So what are you saying right now? Your thoughts on where we are as a nation in the world?
Well, I think as a nation, we're hurting. And we are trying to find a political savior. And we're blaming it on this team or that team, this color versus that color. And I argue us to for people to look deeper than that. It is the financial system that's broken, and people need to stop looking to a political savior to break their chains of debt servitude. They can break their own chains now by opting out of the system and into a monetary protocol that's completely decentralized, that's divorced from the state, and that is Bitcoin. And the thing that really got me interested in this space, that got me questioning it and going down the rabbit hole, so to speak, is I asked myself, why? If technology is supposed to drive prices down, why is the cost of living going up every year? Why is it so expensive to buy a house for young people? Stock portfolios so expensive, cost of education. There's a real reason to that, because when you flood the system with cheap money, easy capital, you manipulate what should be free markets, then you have the greatest wealth transfer from the poor and the middle class to the elite. And now finally there can be a reverse wealth transfer, and that's what I'm fighting for.
All right.
Well, listen, and God bless her for the fight here. But I'd love to know if Natalie Burnell has seen the video and the audio footage, heard the audio footage of Special Agent Rana Sayad from the Department of Homeland Security explaining they know exactly who Satoshi is, and it's 4 people, and they went and interviewed them. You know, this ruse that Bitcoin is, we don't know who Satoshi is exactly that. It is a ruse. It is not real. They absolutely know exactly who it is. And that, to me, speaks to a much bigger issue and problem about whether we should really revere Bitcoin as some anonymous, inception, because it's obvious Department of Homeland Security knows exactly who it is. Love the libertarian view, but I tell you what, at 51, I don't know. Sometimes that libertarian view seems to work best when we're sleeping, because it's a dream, right? Here we have Caroline Pham, who tells us all the CFTC is not sitting back, just stay tuned, and some stable coins are payment stable coins. Listen closely.
So, as I say, a lot in the news. A lot of it's about the SEC right now is what at least I'm seeing. We had the settlement with Kraken, for example. Now we have just a civil complaint just been filed against Terraform Labs. What is the role of the SEC versus the CFTC? Are you feeling left out?
Oh, we're very busy, so just stay tuned. But I think it's important that in the United States, we have many different federal regulators, all of whom have their important roles to play. We have the bank regulators, the SEC for the securities market, of course, and the CFTC for the commodity derivatives market. So each one does its part, and I think what you're seeing right now is a coordinated effort to really examine the risk that exists in the crypto sector and to make sure that we're using all of the tools we have available.
So let me get specific about one thing, stablecoins, because they've been a theme through this. And we've seen, as I say, state regulation here in New York as well as federal regulation. Where are you on the question of whether they're a security or not?
So I think not all stablecoins are the same. It's really important to look at each one and see how it's structured. So this is, of course, a facts and circumstances analysis, a technical legal analysis. So there are many stablecoins that are structured as payment stablecoins, which would fall under the bank regulators and payment regulation, technical legal analysis. So
listen to what she said. Many stable coins that fall under payment stable coins that fall under banking regulation. I'm pretty sure Brad Garlinghouse has told us that they are end-to-end KYC AML. That's how they do it. Not one transaction on RippleNet, and certainly using ODL, is not KYC AML.
There are many stablecoins that are structured as payment stablecoins, which would fall under the bank regulators and payment regulation. There are some that are structured and that the SEC has alleged are securities. There are some that, to me, seem to be derivatives. And so that would fall under our jurisdiction as well as the SEC's.
Well, I wonder, are there some that are both? As a practical matter, I mean, like Binance, it's called Binance Peg BUSD. I've seen people say that is both a derivative and a security at the same time. Is it possible to be both?
I think, yes, security-based swaps are securities and they are derivatives as well. But I think I can't speak about any particular token.
Okay, fair enough. But in general, there are things that can be both. That can.
Sure. There are security-based swaps, like I said.
How should we, those of us who are not involved the way you are, regard the question of where these things should be regulated between the SEC and the CFTC? I mean, what's the right way to look at that question?
Yeah. Well, I think it just all comes down to the product analysis, like you just mentioned, right? So the SEC, of course, has jurisdiction over securities in the securities market, and that includes security-based swaps and other derivatives on securities. And there has been, through Dodd-Frank and other legislation, the delineation between the CFTC and the SEC, and indeed there's a long history going back between the agencies all the way back to Chairman John Shad and Chairman Philip McBride Johnson, the Shad-Johnson Accord, where they determined where some of the delineations were between the two agencies. Security futures, another product where that took some time to hash out. So the agencies are used to working together. The industry is used to having to do that analysis to determine what's the SEC and what's the CFTC.
Wow. I have to tell you, when Caroline Pham says stay tuned, I don't know about you, but it sounds like they got everything figured out. That's kind of where I'm at here, right? Is that, this is the part of the movie where it's foreboding. Like you could feel there is a resolution coming, and a lot of people in this space that got the libertarian view, no slight to Natalie Brunell and anybody else out here subscribing to that, I would maybe hold off and wait to see where the CFTC and Caroline Pham and everybody else, Gary Gensler and Camp, end up before we get so hung up in what we think should be the way the world works here. Just not financial advice, just a suggestion. Now, before we get to this clip, look, she's talking about stable coins, payment coin. Take a listen to this.
Is it your view that stable coins themselves can be securities?
I think that, Senator, they may well be securities. As Thurgood Marshall wrote in the Reeves opinion, in defining the scope of the market that Congress, wished to regulate, Congress painted a broad brush. And
there you have it. He's talking about the Reeves test, ladies and gentlemen. I'm just saying. Caroline Pham's talking about the idea and understanding that there are payment coins that are stable coin payment coins that would be regulated by the bank. I'm not suggesting that the judge would say that the Reeves test comes into play, because the judge may stop short of that to ensure that she does not legislate from the bench in the SEC versus Ripple case. But I tell you, I think the door is still open for a possibility that XRP could become a stable coin and possibly be designated by using the Reeves test. Now, remember, that could either become a security, or it could also become currency and not be seen as a security. There are kickouts on both sides. So, it'll be very important to watch, I tell you that. Now, let's take a look at this, because Brian Brooks is going to tell us exactly where banks are going to be in 50 years.
Yeah, I'll just speak to that. I don't think that's right. Like what I spent my time as controller doing was sort of raising the question of what constitutes a bank, what is banking, and the point that I tried to make in chartering the first fintech bank and then later the first crypto bank was the idea that banks are legacy money centers for the aggregation of capital and then the dissemination of capital into the economy, which is what we've always thought of banks as being, and that banks have to offer all of the services that we historically associate with banking to get a bank charter, is itself the false narrative. That was my point. So I did a lot of writing around the idea that there is an unbundling going on in financial services made possible by technology, where you can now engage in payments without taking deposits, I would argue. You couldn't do that 100 years ago. That was not technologically possible. And so my point about bringing them into the banking system, the reason it's not a contradiction, I don't think, is I don't think banks as we currently know them will exist in 50 years. There will still be banks. I mean, JP Morgan will be a company and they will do stuff. Yeah, replace the system, replace the banking system. So the banking system is based on the concept of the money center. Banks are just like the post office. It used to be that the only efficient way to send money or to send a letter from New York to Omaha was you had to collect all the letters in New York at the central post office so that they could be sorted by zip code and sent out somewhere. And then people invented internet, and you don't have to do that anymore. The need for the collector function, the central intermediary function, vanished because of technology. My argument is that's happening to banking. You can like it or not like it, but it inevitably is happening. And so my point is the system of supervision that we have, the system of risk management and disclosure, needs to be adapted to the new regime, just as Saleh says. the same way it applied to the old regime. The old regime won't be here in 50 years. And so how do we anticipate that and provide protections and risk management to make sure the new system works? That was my point.
And I tell you what a great point it is. And I think it speaks to what I've heard Brian Brooks say. I've heard Chris Giancarlo say. And I don't know if there's two gentlemen that, have a better view than these two guys right here, I tell you, because it's really about moving, as he said there, in monitoring the activities more than focusing on the entities themselves. If there's suspicious activity on a protocol, you can move to find out who that anonymous wallet belongs to and then investigate deeper inside of that. I just don't know moving into this world. And if somebody's got a better idea about how to do it, I wish they'd step forward. But I believe Chris Giancarlo, Brian Brooks have the best overview of how to deal with this technology that I've ever heard in my life. No question about it. Now, talk about a great overview. Yesterday was a fantastic interview from Link 2. Joe Indoso, Jack McDonald sat down for an absolutely top-notch fireside chat. Oh, my goodness. Jack McDonald, Polysign CEO, and we also got Standard Custody in there as well. And don't forget McGowan, which they bought as well. Well, you know what? I had an opportunity to sit down and talk with Jack and ask him a quick question before I had to jump. And let me get that ready for you right now.
Brad as the first question out there because he has to jump pretty soon. But Bradley, if you'd start with your question, and Irene, if you then go forward into the questions that are on the Q&A as a priority, and we'll see as many, we'll go through as many as we can.
Thank you guys so much for having me. Jack, just a pleasure to sit and listen to you talk about Polysign. I mean, very excited. Congratulations for being ready for the SEC and the major move towards qualified custodians. Come on in. I mean, that is remarkable right there. I don't know about anybody else. This crypto winter feels like it's going to be crypto spring really soon. Jack, if I could just quickly, for a lot of people, and I talk to a lot of people every day, and I try to help them understand Polysign and standard custody. And, I have to ask you, to the layman, is it wrong to really see what Polysign and standard custody are doing as the next iteration of the DTCC?
I just read an article, a good article by Matt Levine, who writes for Bloomberg. He used to be a regulator that talks specifically about this. There's definitely a component to DTCC. I think in some ways, Atomic Net would be a part of a future DTCC, and I would love to be able to snap my finger. The difference between us and DTCC is that DTCC is a common, essentially clearinghouse for all different brokers and custodians to come in, and they're the one centralized, trusted, recognized, settlement house in the U.S. We're not, we're one of I don't want to say many, we're one of several. So, slightly different on that, but there's a component of it, and what we want to do on the settlement layer would provide definitely a DTCC-like utility to a much bigger outside, not just U.S. global, and not just equities, but all asset class. So that is part of the vision, to be that.
Remarkable. Thank you for that. I hope to get to speak with you further sometimes. Take care, gentlemen. Thank you so much for everybody for having me. Well, I don't know about you. First of all, shout out to Jack McDonald, Joe Indoso at Link 2, and everybody else. And we're so excited. Link 2 is going to be joining us at XRP Las Vegas. Don't forget, they got $5,000 minimums all weekend long. What I heard Jack McDonald say to me is that actually what they're working on has a similar like component, but it also is what they're going for is much bigger in an offering than what the DTC does. And that's got me extremely excited. Look, that's going to do it for me. But before we get out of here, I do want to take you to this. What a great time that was. And I do want to take you to this. The trend reversal seen by the technical analyst, Egrad Crypto here, says the trend reversal, is presenting similar data that is previously mentioned on different charts. But just to keep us up to it, the upper end of the trend reversal is at 55 cents and the lower end at 24 cents. There's another major move it could push up to 91, I guess, if we get above that 55 line. But here's where we are, ladies and gentlemen. And if we go down and in that 24 cent range, you may have to get up with me to buy the rest of the XRP that's available. That's all. That's all I'm saying. I know what to do. I buy the dips, and that's not financial advice. It's just my digital perspectives. I'll catch all of you on the next one.